Do you have clicking or cracking knees? In this video, I'm gonna go over 3 things that you could do to fix this. What's going on? This is Dr. Nick Bonforte. In this video, we're going over knee clicking and cracking. That is referred to as crepitus. It just means noise. A lot of times, a lot of healthcare providers will say, oh, if it doesn't hurt, don't worry about it. I'm in more of the line of thinking of, well, why wait until something does? So you wanna be a little bit more proactive about these things. Knee crepitus and noise, could it be normal? Sure, but you wanna address the why that it's happening. Now, a lot of times this happens because of strength or mobility or a combination of both. So let's get into it. So before we dive into the exercises, we have to scale back and understand what we're actually working at with the knee. In this video, we're gonna be going over the concept from a mobility restriction versus a strength issue, how this can also contribute to it. So when we're looking at the knee, a lot of times people just think the knee just straightens and bends, but it also has a rotational component to this. So as the knee is, if it's in an open chain position like this, it's not planted on the ground, when your knee goes to straighten, your lower leg tends to straighten, at the end range, it will twist out. It will go into external rotation, what's called external rotation. It's called the screw home mechanism. So it has to actually rotate to actually lock out the knee. So as it goes to straighten, it externally rotates. Now to unlock that, as it goes to bend, it has to internally rotate and then bend. And then it just flip-flops. So as it goes to straighten, it externally rotates, and as it goes to bend, it internally rotates. So from a mobility restriction, if you lack rotational mobility in the lower leg, this can lead to some mechanics going on at the knee, leading to abnormal mechanics and leading to that clicking and cracking that you might feel at the knee. Another thing that we have to consider is all the muscles that surround the knee. Now, when we're thinking about the knee of why things can happen, we have to look above and below the actual problem. I just went over the knee rotation specifically, but the knee is stuck in between 2 major joints, the hip and the ankle. So if there's a dysfunction from a mobility restriction at the ankle or a mobility restriction at the hip, it could lead to compensations at the knee, leading to abnormal mechanics, leading to the noise of the clicking and the cracking. Also the consideration of all the muscles that surround. So we have our quad muscles that come into here. We have our adductor muscles. We have a big fascial connection of your IT band on the side of your leg. We have our hamstring muscles. All of these muscles surround the knee joint. Now, if you're stiff and tight in all these muscles, some abnormal pulling can happen and lead to some mechanics being off and leading to tissue sliding over tissues, muscles sliding over muscles, a tendon sliding over a bony aspect of the knee or the lower leg. All of these things contribute to some of those noises happening. But now the concept is, okay, let's try to address these things so it doesn't lead to something. So by working on mobility, we're then being proactive versus waiting for something as a compensation to lead to an issue. So with this exercise, we're gonna be working on the rotational aspect to the knee. So now you know from the anatomy we went over, if rotation is lacking, it can contribute to the actual problem. So in this case, we just have a slider that we're using underneath the foot. We wanna stabilize the knee or the leg. We don't want the leg moving as we do the motion. We just want pure motion at the lower leg to work on the rotation at the knee. So from here, if I move my leg with it, it's not really doing anything. So I stabilize the knee, and I'm just gonna go out as far as I can and in as far as I can. Now the idea is you're just working in the range of motion that you can actually get into versus just trying to force a range of motion and your toes are curling up, you're trying to come off the ground. Think about keeping your big toe, your pinky toe, and your heel down on the floor, and you're just scraping the floor out and in, and you're working into your available range of motion. That's important because then you're working on what you can actually control versus forcing into a position where it's just a compensation. So get on the slider. This could be also on a towel, on a floor, but you're just working on the rotational piece at the knee, nice and slow, in and out, working on how well it can actually rotate. And over time, this will start to improve the rotational capacity to the knee. Now, progressing on this concept of knee rotation, we're gonna combine it with actually straightening and bending the knee to work through a range of motion. So from here, we grab underneath the leg, we bring our ankle all the way up, and then from here, we rotate out as far as we can. Now you want to keep in mind the ankle wants to be all the way up and locked out so that we're not just moving the ankle here. So you want to get as close as you can to the shin. From here, we keep it locked out. You rotate out as far as you got. You straighten it as far as you got. And if you feel stuck, you don't push it. Then from there, you rotate in as far as you got, and then you bend. Keep it there, and then you're just gonna flip back and forth, working on the actual knee straightening and bending while you're actually rotating the lower leg. So with this concept, we're working on rotation throughout this and working on how well it can actually move through a range of motion. Now with this exercise, we're doing this classic half kneeling hip flexor stretch, but we're addressing all of the muscles that go into the knee and into the side. So when you're in this half kneeling position, you want to squeeze your glutes, squeeze your abs, shift your weight forward until you feel a nice stretch in your hip flexor. But then also you can maneuver side to side, a little bit here, a little bit there. You want to play with different angles of motion that you feel your whole quad being stretched. Once you do, you hold that for a period of time, getting nice mobility to all the tissue in the front of the quad that goes down into the knee. Over time, by repeatedly doing this, we're helping loosening up the soft tissue restrictions, if there is one, that can likely contribute to snapping and clicking and cracking at the knee. So we're in this, again, this position. You play with different ranges of motion that you feel most stiff in. Some will feel more stiff here, some will feel more stiff here, some straightforward. So you play with your range of motion, repeatedly do this. It'll help reduce that stiffness to this quad region. So hopefully this video made sense and gave you some insight on how to address clicking and cracking knees and how many things can contribute to this, whether it's strength, mobility, or a combination of both of them. In this video, we focused on mobility, specifically doing one for a muscular restriction and some specific ones at the knee. Now that's not to say that there's not other things to work on, such as at the hip or at the ankle, but giving you some perspective and insight on how to address these things, giving you long-term solutions and tools of an understanding of what it actually takes to get out of these clicking or cracking or popping knees. Hey, before you go, if you found value in this video, I would really appreciate it if you support my channel by subscribing down below, liking this video, and don't forget to turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video from me. This is Dr. Nick. I'll see you next time.